The following show and its content are the responsibility of the show's producers and participants.
Information related in this program is not meant to substitute medical recommendations. Before starting a treatment program, you should consult your physician.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
That's right. Welcome to the Couch Live, everybody. Here on WPSN99.com, the problem-solving network. It's great to be back on the Couch Live here at WPSN99.com. It's like we do all these different kinds of shows. It's hard to remember, Trinity, what show we're doing, but let me introduce you to everybody. All right, so like I said, you know who I am, and there's Dharma Guy right there, Trinity Phillips.
What's up? What's up?
What's happening, Trinity?
I got the little one behind me.
You got the little Trinity behind you.
Right before we went on air, you made sure to tell him, since he's on camera, no butt picking. So.
No butt picking, no nose picking. You're on camera.
That's good.
And he's listening so far.
He is listening.
He's picked nothing so far.
Hopefully that will continue.
That's right. And, of course, the Grasshopper Robbie Barrett.
What's up, guys? Glad to be here.
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Doing fantastic, Louie.
You are doing fantastic.
It's always a good day when Robbie can make it.
I love when Robbie comes in.
He's got a good energy.
Yeah, he comes in more than he doesn't nowadays.
Yeah, you know what? He does. You've been on point lately, man.
Well, it's been summer and stuff, but he's taking classes in the summer and still been coming in, right? Didn't you take some classes?
No.
It just seemed like it.
Yeah, I guess so.
What was it, an internship? What was it? No, not an internship. What was it?
This is my internship.
No, but what was it? There was something you were doing.
I finished classes in May, and then...
No, there was something. What was it that he was doing that he missed a couple times besides vacation?
He travels like all over the place.
Yeah, it was just vacation.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I thought it was something else. No, it was something else, man. I'm not remember what it was, but you had to do something.
Well, I just had to get ready for
a project or
all
something. There was something.
All my applications and interviews and stuff like that. So.
All right. Well, anyway, this show does focus on addiction and recovery and all things in between, and we appreciate everybody that joins us. The show's been on since 1999. It's had a bunch of different co-hosts within that time period, but one consistent thing is me. I just look older and fatter and all that other stuff, but it's so interesting, man, when people have posted, like what was it, like not too long ago when Charles posted that the Couch Live from who knows what year that was. I was on some AM radio station or whatever, and oh my God, bro, I just look so different. It's hard to believe. This is 19 years, Robbie.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen some of the older videos, and
19 years, man.
Definitely look different. But
definitely look different.
I'd say you've progressed in a good way.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think so.
Who was the longest co-host? How long? Who was the longest?
Oh, my God. What a great question. You know what? I think I'm going to have to go back and figure that out, because you might be might be catching up.
I think it's got to be like 6 or 7 years now.
Dude, you might, because, let me see. The show started with just me.
Right.
And the captain was my original producer.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's my original producer. And Tinker Cooper was my first co-host. And then she retired. And while she was still there, then Hector Del Valle became my co-host with that. Then it was Dr. George Schultz when we went over to Full TV. I mean, we're still doing radio, but they built us a television set. And we're doing a lot of the 2-hour live television show for Orange County for a few years. And that was Dr. George Schultz. And those were some great years for the Couch Live, man, because that was so crazy. To have that opportunity to do that was really cool. And then from there, Denise jumped in on the show, and then some dude, I don't remember his name.
Really left an impact on you there.
Well, he left an impact. He's lucky I don't impact his face. That's not very
not
couch
the doc, is
live-ish.
it?
That's not.
Not very recovery right
That's
there.
not very recovery right
That's
there.
not the doc, is it?
No, man. The poor. No, it wasn't the doc. No, I love it. That's right. Oh yeah, and Dr. Hoffman was a co-host for a while. By the way, Dr. George Schultz passed away, and that sucked. That was horrible.
Wow.
That was not good. No, man. It was some kid that just. He was kind of like you, brother. I was kind of helping him out, like you, and then he just, some people aren't as they just aren't the deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're the real deal, and I appreciate you, by the way.
Oh, of course.
And so anyway, then Trinity jumped on while Denise was still on. You took that kid's spot, didn't you?
What kid? I don't think I know.
Really? All right.
You're not talking about Youngblood, are you?
Yeah, Youngblood.
He wasn't on. He was only on for like a couple times.
Yeah, he wasn't a co-host really.
Yeah.
But and then it's you and I, and then we brought in Robbie, the Grasshopper.
There's a little short history of the couch life, folks.
What's the short history of the couch?
I've been on since it says here 2013.
Really?
So it's been 5 years, going on 6.
That might be the longest. Other than Tinker might be up there, might be right around 5 or 6.
I will say though, I don't know if we've announced it on here.
Mhm.
I don't think we announced it on Dharma Time
One.
either. But and Robbie, this is a big thing for you as well.
Yeah.
1 year, August this month.
The
WPSN99.com
Right on.
has been around for 1 year. I don't know the exact date, but in August, because that's when we started doing things.
Wow.
So this is our 1 year month, man. Like we've been in existence for a year now.
Yeah. I can't even now. That'd be harder. It'd be harder to explain all the stations that we've been on. I think that's a little bit harder of a task. It's easier to tell you the co-host than the stations. So so this is our home station now, WPSN99.com. From here, now we went into the podcast era. We were a little late to the party on that one.
Yeah.
Weird how.
But we're up there now.
But we're there now. The podcast era, the YouTube era, all that stuff, the Up Live era, all that new stuff that we get taken into.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
But anyway, let's get back to the point. Because today's show is focused on do the damn thing.
Do it.
Let's do the damn thing.
Stop making excuses.
Now, that doesn't sound so Dharma Guy-ish or dope doctor-ish. But the reason we wanted to talk about do the damn thing is because so many times we get frozen, right? We get frozen. We get frozen somewhere. Like somehow our fears, anxiety, whatever it is, we get frozen and we just don't progress. We feel like we're progressing only because we're thinking about it.
Right.
We're thinking about it and we want it, so we feel like we're moving forward.
But you're actually taking no action towards the end goal.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly. And the action we're taking is always dependent upon if all the right stars align.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, I would do it if, and I would do that if. But since that's not happening, I'll wait. And unfortunately, mañana nunca viene, man. Tomorrow never comes. And that's why, matter of fact, now Matters More Foundation, that's why it's called what it is.
We actually spoke about that yesterday with Fred.
Yeah.
Because he even mentioned,
Fred
like,
Stokes.
you got to make moves. Man.
Right on. From Fred Stokes Foods.
Yep.
Love Fred Stokes. And a Super Bowl champion, Washington Redskins.
Yes, sir.
So we wanted to talk about do the damn thing because we're so proud of one of our threesome right here. One of our trio right here just accomplished something so damn cool. And I'm so proud of this guy that we said, let's just dedicate the whole damn show to him. And it's Robbie. It's you, Grasshopper.
Yes,
I was looking around. I couldn't figure out who you were
It's
talking
you,
about.
brother.
No, it's you, man. We want you.
You sent us a text message yesterday with some really good news.
This show is about you telling your story, and you're telling us that the energy or the focus or whatever you wish to share of how you just did the damn thing, or at least you're doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
You're not just sitting back and waiting for things to come to you. You're actually going out and getting it.
Yeah.
Even like calling us and getting on this. Like, how did he do that?
I don't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, Trinity?
I just remember we had a Starbucks meeting.
Yep.
Next thing you know, like a year later almost, here he is.
This dude got with us.
Year and a half. When was that? January of last year?
Was it? I don't remember the exact date.
March. Yeah, March.
I mean, I'm not trying to say we're all that, but we're not easy. There's a lot of people that have tried. I mean, there's some individuals I can think of right now that are probably still waiting for a call back that we're like, nah, it's just not going to happen, and then just move forward.
Yep.
But bro, you somehow you got in. He wowed us.
Yeah, you wiggled right in there, man.
Us. So Robbie, the Grasshopper, you're doing the damn thing. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah.
And the deal.
Yeah,
Why are we celebrating you today?
So what I did was I got into PA school. So I'm going to be a physician's assistant. I'm going to prescribe medicine, hopefully work in behavioral health care and this same field that we're talking about right now, addiction and recovery, and get on board with the medication-assisted treatment and just help individuals going through the same thing that I did. And yeah, I'll just give a little bit about my story.
Yeah,
little brief background for the people
Yeah,
who
please,
don't really know.
please.
So I'm a person in recovery, and I was at the University of West Alabama, and I was playing baseball, and I didn't realize at the time that I had a pretty serious drug problem and that things were kind of spiraling out of control. But it all happened really quick. I withdrew from school and just completely got out of Alabama, and then I came back to Florida, went to treatment, and shortly after that I met Louie. And somewhere along that time I was like talking to PAs in the psychiatry.
All right, I'm gonna have to pause you. Wait, because you're moving way too fast.
Yeah.
I want to go all the way back to baseball. And what school did you say?
West Alabama.
West Alabama. So, how old were you when you graduated high school?
So I was 17.
All right, so you're 17 years old playing baseball.
Playing baseball.
For what school?
Dr. Phillips.
Which is a great school.
Yeah, we were good.
Yeah, Dr. Phillips is good at everything.
Yeah.
All right, so you're getting noticed.
Yeah.
What was your position?
Pitcher and outfield.
Okay, and what was the goal? What is that Robbie's goal? You're 17 years old, going to Dr. Phillips. What was the deal?
Play Division I baseball. That was the goal.
D1 baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what was it gonna? Were you gonna pitch? Is that or was it gonna be?
That was the idea. That
pitch?
was always what I was best at.
Okay,
my arm was pretty good, and
right.
Yeah.
And those of you that can't see him or know him, I mean, he's a physically very tall guy. He's a big guy. He's not a small guy. So that makes sense. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you get recruited?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was even before that, when I was like 15, 16, I was playing on like the best team. We went to like nationals, and
oh wow,
everybody else on the team already had like their D1 scholarship. Like it was already there for them, and I was still waiting on hearing from these schools because it's like they're all throwing like 93 and I'm throwing 87. So
wow, for real.
Yeah. So I felt like a little behind there, and I had to do some catching up. And
wait a minute, behind it, throwing 87? That's behind?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because these kids were
at 15.
These kids were all thrown in the 90s, and my teammates were going to University of Florida, Vanderbilt, Tech, like just everywhere. Any big D1 school you can name, like they had reached out to our team.
I could throw it like 8. Like
what's that? Hey, yeah, I'm with you.
I could toss it to you.
I can underhand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and something that was going on while I was 15 to 18 was drugs were becoming a really big part of my life, and that was a lot more important than baseball for me.
What'd you start with? What was your first thing that you got introduced, and how'd that happen?
The first thing I really remember was smoking pot, and it's actually kind of a funny story because the kids I was with wanted to fit in with so bad. Know the story.
Right.
I told them I had been doing it forever. I had done it 500 times is what I said. I still remember that. And then we actually did it for the first time, and I was like,
oh jeez.
Yeah, I was just like, I felt like relaxed for the first time in my life, and I felt like I was a part of this group, and there were older kids there, and it was the coolest thing. And then from there, it was like over-the-counter medicines. And
are you the oldest brother?
Yeah.
Do you have a sister?
No, I'm the oldest brother.
Okay. You have how many brothers?
I have 3 younger brothers.
Okay. So didn't you feel powerful from being the oldest brother and from being such a bigger
guy?
I
I had my whole identity kind of wrapped up in this baseball thing and where I was going to go with that.
Right.
So the school wasn't as important.
But what was lacking? I mean, how did these guys even like look attractive to you to want to hang out with them?
I guess
because there's a lot of people that think that if my kid is playing sports and they're being successful in sports and they're focused on sports, that they won't use drugs.
Yeah, and I had great grades too. I mean,
and you have a great family. So So what was missing?
I think really just genuine friendships and connection.
Mm-hmm. Do you know why that was? And you don't have. I mean, if I get to something real personal, just glide over it.
No, not at all. I love being open about this kind of stuff, but yeah, I mean, my dad was a doctor growing up, so it wasn't there a lot. I was just seeking out a strong male figure in my life.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I think that both of us, all right, cool. All right, so you were seeking out a strong male figure. These guys seem to have that.
Yep.
Plus, you're doing great in school. You're like the good kid.
Yeah, definitely.
So you probably wanted to get a little dirty.
The AP classes and all that stuff, and it was just it was pretty stressful. And this is like high school. It doesn't sound like it, but
right.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. So you started smoking pot, and then how does it go from pot to pills?
I I don't even.
I mean, you're trying to prove all those people right about gateway drug, huh? You're
probably just
you did that.
Yeah, that was me.
You're that kid.
Probably just like research online. When
Oh, wait a
Google
minute.
was evolving. Yeah, I did.
I love how the new drug users Google. I mean, when I did drugs, it was all about whatever Tommy's doing. You know what I mean? But now it's about.
Well, I mean, just finding out what was going to
That's
kill
awesome.
me and what wasn't. I guess.
Okay.
Wow.
Like
All right.
at first, it was just like, can I get high on Tylenol, like that kind of thing.
I got you.
Looking that up,
I
and it was
got
like,
you.
no, don't take 30 pills, you might die. So instead, it was
Right.
like, all right,
Yeah.
cough medicine, like that can do something for you. So
yeah.
so
Syrup.
went down. Yeah, so I went down that road.
Yeah.
Like Robitussin and whatever.
Okay. Well, that will get you into opiates.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, and it did.
Yeah.
But
So then what happened? I mean, when is the first time that anyone even noticed that,
I
that
remember
Robbie's just not the same Robbie anymore?
Yeah. So I guess I started going from straight A's to a couple of B's in there, and some guidance counselor was like having a conversation with the parents and was talking about how, like, this declining academic performance, because it's still like above a 4.0 GPA in high
Oh
school.
my God.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, like that it could be a sign of drug abuse. So
Yes.
eventually, the first time I got caught smoking was actually the second day I ever smoked pot. So that's like
Wow.
a terrible,
Wow.
terrible nightmare to anybody.
What?
And I rode my bike from Dr. Phillips to Ocoee because I was so scared of facing my mom and like facing the consequences. I was 15, so
Right.
yeah. So I rode my bike to Ocoee. That's not an exaggeration.
So for the people that don't know what that is, how many miles are we talking
about 35 miles. Just
Oh my God.
yeah,
I didn't even know it was that many.
yeah.
35 miles. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And?
And yeah, I mean, for obviously it was like I remember being actually caught and confronted. It was like I look at this. I still have good grades. I'm not going to be a failure. I'm not going to do that. And then
You had the talk.
yeah, it just got I had the talk instead of like the other way around. And it was like
funny.
okay, right now, sure, you still do have this, but I mean, it just kind of progressed downward from there.
Because you got to educate parents on that I'm different. I'm the
Yeah.
one that can use.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Pot is in the Bible.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's natural plant. All right. So you had the talk.
Yeah, and I thought I was going to be the Michael Jordan of pot.
That.
Like from the first time, I thought that's what I was going to be.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think
And-
everybody thinks that, right?
Yeah. So then they didn't know that you were dipping into other stuff, or at that point you had not been dipping into the cough medicine.
Yeah, and eventually they would find like just bottles that I'd take from Walmart or whatever, or buy them. And yeah, they'd find them like completely empty, stashed under the cabinets behind everything, and that was kind of a big warning flag because you don't
Right.
find that kind of stuff in a normal 16-year-old's
Right.
bathroom and car and whatever.
Talk to the parents. Tell them where were you hiding it? What are some good spots that they need to be checking out?
So that closet with all the towels in there that no one ever goes.
Yeah.
All the towels and blankets.
Yeah.
You pick up a couple of the blankets and you just shove it in there, and a little maybe get a ladder and put it up high. So yeah, so no one can find it.
And him getting
Yeah,
a
him
ladder.
getting a ladder is
That's
like-
real
that's
high.
pretty tall.
My mom was 4 foot tall. She would never find that.
Yeah, exactly.
I always put everything high. I never find it, but I wouldn't put it in towels. I had a maid, brother.
But-
I ain't going there, man.
But, I mean, they get sloppy eventually. I
Yeah.
know I did.
Yeah.
And instead of like those hiding spots, it just became my drawers, and then my room would smell like pot. And then,
Right.
And then my mom would come, and she'd come to my baseball practice at high school and like tell me that I'm quitting, like just all sorts of crazy stuff.
Was that a
So-
threat? Was that a
Oh,
threat
yeah.
that you got?
Oh yeah, all the time.
That I'm going to pull you out of baseball?
Yeah, or go to private school. or
How do you feel about
whatever.
that? Because there's a lot of people that threaten stuff like that. Like, I'm going to take away like your extracurricular.
I mean, looking back at it now, is probably not really a productive thing. I think if I were to, I mean, you can't really go back in time and say like, I think this would have happened or this.
No, but
would-
you're going to be a parent one day,
Right.
and you're talking to parents right now. You're talking to actually, you're talking to parents right now that are considering the same thing. They're dealing with
Yeah.
a young person right now, or a person in their life right now,
Yep.
and they're thinking, well, I'm going to pull them out of baseball. I'm going to put them out of football. I'm going to pull them out of band. Whatever.
so
what do you say about that?
I mean, that would it makes sense to pull them out if the friends were really the problem and I wasn't. I was the one that was influencing other people. It wasn't the other way around. Like
Right.
it can be portrayed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it seemed like from the outside that I was the good kid and these were the bad kids and they were making me do this stuff.
Right.
And in reality, it was me. Like I wanted to be doing all of this.
So to that same parent,
Mhm.
what is the conversation?
I guess just
Not like what'll change it because we don't
Yeah.
know. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
everybody's different. Everybody has a different sentence they hear, and then all of a sudden their life changes. But what is the conversation at that point that at least is somewhat productive?
just
You think?
try your best to get down to the honesty without judgment. And I think all the judgments that kind of were flying at me about what this was going to possibly do to me later in life and what it did to other people really like clouded the vision of what was actually happening to me. Like if I were able to have a more open and honest conversation about what was actually going on and why I was doing it, then we could have gotten somewhere. But instead it was just threats and just taking stuff away and taking time away.
That's interesting actually because you know, as a parent, regardless of the situation, be it drugs or just behavior patterns in general, that's our go-to, right? Our go-to is to try to help you understand like what this could do to your future.
What you're really doing.
Yeah, like look, man, like if you do this is the path you're on, and that's our go-to is to try to reason with you to get you to understand that.
And that all that stuff, like my dad telling me that I was going to be homeless, like that's something that I still remember today, and that's something that I would just do more drugs to like spite him, like no, watch this, I'm not going to be homeless.
Yeah, it's like a challenge.
You know,
interesting.
I got to take this moment then to help people that are thinking this way. So if you're going to do that, there's only really one healthy way to do that that I know of. Now there might be more, but there's only one that has been effective, at least in the stuff that I've done as a counselor. And that's, you have to almost, instead of, you're sitting there with your Robbie, and you just found out they're using. If you're going to start fear tactics, then you better be able to identify what you're looking at right now. In other words, be able to tell the story that you don't even know yet up to the point that you have right in front of you. If you are able to tell that story, talking about the feelings, because they will take any little thing that you say within your story, and if it didn't work out that way, or if it was different, then you've lost all credibility. So you got to stick to things that are true. Like you can't say things like, well, you had low self-esteem, so if you start talking like that to a younger person, you lost them. But if you're able to predict or identify the things that are real that they're happening, like, you know what, Robbie, you used to really enjoy going to practice, and now I see that sometimes I'm watching your practice and your energy just appears low. So I knew I've been wanting to ask you, why is your energy low, or why you're speaking a little bit different, or even like around here, like you come home and we're all sitting here watching TV, and Robbie, you just go to your room and you're just not really with us and engaging with us. And at first we're just thinking, hey, well, Robbie's just being a normal teenager, but we're getting concerned. And now that you've said this, we can see that, okay, well, maybe something was happening, and somehow there's been some distance that has grown, and we don't want this distance, and we can realize that you maybe have wanted to try something, or you got curious about something, or there's some feelings that you were having that you didn't want to have, and you found a way to not have them and have better ones. But tell us more about where you're at, and if you get to understand how they got to where they got to, then it's easier to start predicting. Well, then here's what I want to warn you. And so these are some other talking points that you may want to find in the future. Should you find yourself, Robbie, wanting to quit baseball, if one day you're sitting there and you're really thinking, man, I just don't even want to do this anymore, and you find yourself not loving baseball anymore, come talk to us, because that may not just be that you're falling out of love of baseball. That may be that this stuff that you're doing may be getting into parts of your brain that are pulling you away from things that you love. And so instead of threatening, you start identifying markers in the future that could be possible, that tend to happen with people with drugs and alcohol problem. That way, when those things start happening, they'll come back to you and say, you were absolutely right.
See, and that's like the perfect clinical, that's like exactly what, like with 20/20 hindsight, you could go back and have this exact same conversation, and there could have been a different outcome. But the fear tactics in the moment and projecting empty threats a lot of times, and not following up and getting down to what was really going on now is what.
Because we're emotional.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an emotional event. I mean, Trinity. I mean, like, right? I mean, we've, as a parent, you get emotional, right? And Trinity's Dharma-ish. Trinity's Zen.
I try.
And he's going to get emotional. We were just playing Halo and let the bodies to the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that it's interesting he brings that up, though, because I think it's a perspective that parents kind of forget. Like we forget as parents. Even us, as woke as we are, we're guilty of getting stuck in our own box, right? And our own perspective, and this is how we see it, so this is how it is. And we forget that there's a whole other perspective across the table that looks at things completely different. And so it's
whether you agree with it or not.
Correct. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, that's their perspective. You can't take that from them. And so I think, once again, our go-to is to try to explain, why what you're doing is a bad idea from our perspective. And we don't realize that from their perspective, as a kid, you've been told no like your whole life. You're getting some freedom a little bit now, and maybe some of the things that you were warned about, like you said, aren't really coming to fruition the way you were told it was. So that makes you question everything now that this person's telling you. Like, well, what else are they not telling?
Right.
And you know, we know as adults that that's life. You know, it kind of works out differently. But as a kid, it's like, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm just better.
Right.
Like maybe I can do it. You know.
Yeah.
You get this false sense of like of security, almost this false sense of confidence that you can take on the world.
Right.
Because when we're all young, we're all invincible, right? Like I didn't think of my blood pressure numbers.
And you should be.
Stuff. Sure.
That's how we get the best inventions.
Yeah. And so I think that as parents, we got to find a way of navigating that kind of perspective, if you will, in a way that doesn't come off as a challenge or come off, as you said, judgmental.
Yeah, and another point that Lou brought up is it was always the consequence. It was never like, what is this actually doing for you? Like, why do you keep seeking this out? And why are you putting this in front of baseball and your friends?
Right.
Because these things
that are still important to you at the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as it was first starting, and it was definitely never asked like, well, why do you actually seek this substance? Like, what is THC doing for you that these things aren't?
Right. And you know, and when you're having these conversations with your young person, just realize that you're coming from a very personal place. You're feeling like it's a personal attack. I get it. You're feeling like somehow it's a disrespect to you, which it is, but it's not meant to be. It's not. This is not an obvious attack on you. This has. At this point in time, you have to look at it like it has very little to do with you and a lot to do with them. You know, their development, their path, where they're going, how they're envisioning this. And so it might still be working for them.
And
like for whatever they're using it for, it might be working in their social circle or their confidence. Like at first, you feel more confident when you're using it. It's not like you use a drug and all of a sudden you lack confidence. It actually gives you initially exactly what you meant it to give you. And so you have to respect that it may be working.
Yeah.
And I think a real dangerous thing to do is to act like it's not and to ignore the fact that there are benefits to even negative things. You know, like your flat tire thing, you know what I mean? Bring the flat tire into this conversation because I think it's relevant. You know, like a flat tire is not bad for everybody.
Well, I mean, I think that once again, it's perspective, right? As we as adults, we as parents, you know, like using just a little bit of what his story was. From my perspective, I'm looking at him from a potential perspective. Like, you have the potential to go on to do great things and go play baseball and all sort of stuff. This future I see for you. And so anything that's going to take away from that, I see as a bad thing. But you might think it's a good thing in the sense of, you know, I'm feeling some comfort and some security that I wasn't before. And so, yeah, those things are kind of going away from me and it's changing my future a little bit, but I might not want that future. And I think that's the thing for us as adults sometimes, especially older ones with, you know, we grew up without some of this technology. It's very easy for us to get in this, you know, get off my lawn mentality where, you know, like I got to be very careful in my own home, right? My kids have all grown up with FaceTime and iPads and emails and things of that nature. So I come from a generation where I value very much personal one-on-one contact and getting out. But I have to remember that the newer generation doesn't value that the same way that I do.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, look at today's world. Do you?
I have to disagree there.
You don't have to disagree with what?
I would have to disagree that they don't value that.
Not the way we do. I don't think they do. Because I have kids now.
And the only reason I'm saying that is because I really hesitate to compare generation to generation because it's just different. And you know what I mean. And I don't want to be get off my lawn guy.
Right.
And so instead of comparing, I want to figure out their value system, and you know, because I know my kids value sitting with us and enjoying their time with us, but they may be getting on an electronic the same way we went out and played.
Right.
Well, I mean,
you know
regardless, it's a fact that these kids are gonna value an iPhone more than you valued technology when you were a kid, just because
technology, yes, but we went out and played, so our technology we were still gone.
Well, what I'm
I was gone. I wasn't there sitting with my family.
Yeah, sure. What I'm getting at is this: is like. Yesterday we had a meeting with Fred Stokes.
Right.
We both wanted that meeting like in person. We wanted to sit down and kind of because that's how we value it.
Correct.
So whereas the youth today, they could have done it over Skype and been just fine, or done an email or something like that. Like a lot of them nowadays, like my kids and stuff, they're totally cool with it. They don't need to do my little ones call me FaceTime all the time, and they get their fulfillment from that. To whereas I want them in front of me in person.
Right.
And so that's what my point was, though, is oftentimes what we see as a negative might not necessarily be a negative to everybody.
True.
And so I think that's what, as parents, we have to remember. It reminds me of Varsity Blues, man. It was one of my favorite moments in that movie when the dad and the son were arguing because the son had the football career and everything else. And they were sitting there arguing because the dad was trying to make the son, do what he needed to do to further his football career.
Right.
And I'll never forget, right smack dab in the middle of the argument, the son just yelled back at his dad, "I don't want your life." And it was a big moment. And that stuck with me.
Right.
And when I talk to my kids, I always try to keep that in mind. They might not want the life that I'm trying to make for them to have.
Exactly.
And that's their right.
Exactly.
They have the right to want their own life.
Right.
And I have to always remember that.
Right.
So the way I try to approach things with my older ones, I have an 18-year-old and now a 14-year-old.
Right.
And I've done it with the 18-year-old, and I'm trying to do it more with the 14-year-old now because she's getting to that age. I try not to direct anymore. I try to just be the information giver. I try to fill in the gaps and give you a full picture so you can make your own decisions. Yeah. I try to remember that you're not stupid. You have the internet. And in your own mind, you think you've really thought this out. And so I'm trying to respect the fact that you feel that you've thought it out. So I don't want to say that you haven't thought it out. I just want to say, look, there's other perspectives out there that you might not have thought of. These things are true as well. Now that you know a more complete truth, now you can make a better decision.
Right.
At the end of life, at the end of the day, it's your life. You're going to have to live with these consequences. I just want to make sure you're as well informed as you can be, so you know what the consequences could be, both good and bad.
Right. And I think what's important here is also when you're speaking to a younger person, is all too often what you try to do at this point in Robbie's story. All too often, you want to paint this big picture that marijuana is a gateway drug. You're going to go off and use heroin and you're going to die. Kind of conversation. This is basically how the conversation ends up going. Here's the issue with that is if you want to talk about gateways, then go ahead and use gateway but differently. In other words, like I have a relationship with you, Robbie, and I've always felt like I could trust you. I look at you, Robbie, and I've always loved your honesty. I've always loved your being genuine, and what you're telling me is that. Whatever it is you're doing, whether it's, I don't care if it's a behavior, if it's gambling or if it's pot or whatever it is, but somehow you're okay with lying to me. You're okay with looking at me and not being honest and not being real Robbie.
Bingo.
And that's the real Robbie that I want to grow old with. That's the real Robbie that when I'm sitting in my bed and unable to move, I want to be able to look at you and you hold my hand and give me that comfort and know that my life had value. My life had meaning because I gave birth to you, Robbie, and I had you. And so I don't ever want you to do anything out there. I don't care whether it's a substance or a behavior that's ever going to make you look at me and not want to be that Robbie for me. Yeah. So you can't become a big liar without starting as a little liar. You can't become a big cheater without being a little cheater. And so it's not just marijuana, and it's not just gambling, and it's not just sex. It's not just, it's anything like that. Anything that's going to take you away from being that Robbie for me, I'm not going to like. So you can try to sell it to me, and that's okay for other people. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. I'm not judging that. I'm not judging your friends. If they want to, I don't know their life. I don't know, if they have the same kind of relationship that I felt like I had with you. Now, if you're feeling like we don't have that relationship right now, then you tell me how we can get there, because I'd rather have that forever than to allow any substance or any person or any behavior ever get in the way of this. This is what I wanted more than anything. And if I'm doing something wrong, I want to know about it. That approach right there, to me, is just a lot more effective as a parent when you get to the realness of what is happening, because it's a disconnect. It's a disconnect, and so it starts really young. Like you'll hear me joke around a lot about saying the real gateway drug is sugar and caffeine. And the reason I joke around like that is because there's changes that are happening in the brain. Yep. But besides just the changes that are happening in the brain are the lies. Because you can ask a kid, did you eat that candy? And they'll say no, or they say, I just had one when they had 4. So it's the lies that are more dangerous than the chemistry. We can always heal from the chemistry. Physical dependence is temporary. There's no physical dependence is not going to kill you. What kills us is the behavior and the attitudes that we get with that physical dependence, the actual addict behavior, the lying, the cheating, the stealing, the running away, the not dealing with your problems, the not connecting with people, the giving everybody a false sense of who you are, so you lose yourself and then you don't know who you are. And then so you just become whoever you thought you're supposed to be. And that could be very dangerous for you. So the conversation at that point, Robbie, I'm not saying it would have worked.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying for the family members that are in that situation right now, the conversation really is to get to understand that somehow we're in a disconnect.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out how to connect. So if you just go into it out of emotion and, like Trinity said, out of your perspective, and you try to paint all these pictures that just as a young person, you're just not there right now because right now you're feeling anxiety of being caught. Right now you're just trying to get out of trouble. Right now you just want the adult to shut up. Well, if you're not understanding that, then everything you say just says wah 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 wah, and it's just not the time to be heard. And so unfortunately, it's so anti what you want to do.
Yep.
But it is what has to be done, I think.
Yeah, that's a great point. No, I think it's
Message.
yeah,
Right.
You hit the nail on the head.
So you had this conversation, and obviously the conversation went differently.
Yes.
Or you took it differently, whatever it was.
It did come from emotion a lot of the time. And
Right.
I did just all I wanted to do was get out of that one.
Get out of that room.
Get out of that one conversation. Go ride my bike 30 miles.
Right.
Do whatever I could
Right.
to go so I could get my next fix and get this stuff that's actually doing it for me.
Did you digest anything that was said at that moment?
No.
No. Later, probably.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's one of those hear me now, listen later kind of deals.
Yeah, like when you're in
Yeah.
when you're in treatment.
When
like
you're
looking
treated,
back.
yeah.
Of course.
It's that kind of message. Emotions are that way, though. When people are emotional to you, you don't hear the message right away.
Because you have
You
your
always
own,
hear that message later.
Yeah, because you have your own emotions.
Emotion
that
to emotion.
immediately fire up.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
just button
It's a
heads.
fight at that point. It's a what do you call it?
It's like my will versus your will.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So move forward. So then you kept using.
Yeah, and I got arrested when I was a sophomore in high school.
Right.
And that really was that was the last straw in my parents' eyes, because it's like, we are not going to have our child who's going to be an adult in 2 years doing this to the point where he gets picked up. We get a call at 2:30 in the morning.
Right.
So yeah.
So now you're embarrassing the family.
Yep.
So that's a different level of anger from a
Yeah.
parent.
Yeah.
Because especially you said your father's a doctor, so it's like that doesn't happen in our household. And I'm guessing, and I'm just going to guess by the way I know you, a family of faith.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're embarrassing us.
Yeah, definitely.
And so nobody wants to feel like you're embarrassing your parent. So now I'm going to feel guilty and shame. This is all we hear, by the way. Shame. You're not supposed to be like that. You're not. But I remember feeling, but I am. But I am that guy.
Yep.
So maybe I don't belong in this family. And then I even felt more isolated. I don't know if you did, but when I started hearing shame stuff, or I started feeling like we don't do that, you were raised differently kind of talk, then I felt like, well, then I don't belong here. And if you let me tell you something. Here's the danger. If you can get that full disconnect from your family, all rules are off. Just so you know this. If you allow me to disconnect from you completely, nobody out here matters. Nobody out here matters. Because if I can stick that middle finger up and say I don't care what happens to my parents, you think my neighbors have a fighting chance against me?
Nope.
You think anybody I ever walk around or anybody that has conflict has a fighting chance? Let me tell you something. What happens at that moment in time is such a disconnect in my brain, if you allow that to happen, that everybody is now in danger. Everyone is now in serious danger. Because anybody that can hurt their mother, their grandparent, their parent, to that point and disconnect, not just hurt them because you said, oh, it hurts us that you get high. No, I'm not talking about that hurt.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the hurt where I can look you in the eye and say, you know what, I don't give a damn what you say, and believe it. I don't mean say it out of emotion, but believe it. And there will come a time, if you keep shaming an addict, where they will believe it. I don't give a damn.
Yep.
And they become so dangerous to themselves and others at that point in time.
Yeah, and probably a month after the arrest happened, that's where I was. It was to the point where I didn't care.
You won't.
Yeah.
You won't.
Because at the end of the day, it was you two people. You have brought me up to where I am now,
Right.
and I know what's the best for me.
Right.
Like, this is my life, not yours. I honestly thought that I was gonna move to Colorado and
Right.
just grow pot, and I could be completely content with my life.
So here's the question. Was it even ever about pot?
No,
It really wasn't, was it?
no.
Never is.
What was it about?
It was about.
I mean, have you figured some? I know you're
Yeah.
still figuring that out.
Oh, yeah.
But have you gotten little bits and pieces of what it was now?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it had to do with just the anxiety I felt and all this pressure. I basically wanted to become exactly where my dad is when I was growing up, and I felt like I wouldn't be able to just because I didn't have the tools or whatever. In reality, I did, but I felt like I was never going to be the same man that he was, and that was what was really just eating at me.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's crazy. And now,
So
Trinity and I have never heard your story.
Yeah, no, I've never
Right?
heard any of that.
But this conversation that we have right now, have we been able to at least predict or explain kind of some of the things that you were feeling, or have you been able to identify with some of the stuff we've said?
Yeah, definitely.
That is what I'm talking about for you guys. I've never heard his story. Trinity's never heard his story.
Nope.
But the point is that you don't need to have heard even your son or loved one's story to know that you can have a calm conversation about where they're at. Now, here's why you go to counselors, though. It's not because we're trained like this. It's just because we're not emotionally attached to the situation, so I'm not going to have a conversation with your loved one the same way you're going to have a conversation with your loved one. Because I can tell you what, if Dali or Zoe end up being in trouble and having a problem, I'm going to need someone outside of me, initially at least, that's a lot calmer, because my initial response may be different. Now, we've had some conversations of some things that I've caught, and it hasn't been as serious as that, but I had a conversation not to make it as serious as that, but to show them the path. And I've always gotten the reaction that I wanted, because the reaction at the end of the day was my girls don't want to disconnect. Mm-hmm. They don't ever want to disconnect. They want that love, and they want that respect more than anything. And it's important to let them know, I want to respect you. I want to respect you. And to respect you, I need to kind of believe in your process a little bit. I need to kind of know that like what Trinity was saying, that you're making good choices based on looking at all the angles, and that your perspective is based on some sort of fact, not fiction or hope. If you're basing your perspective on fiction and hope, it's just a very dangerous game, and I'd like you to have a little bit more sturdier ground, so you don't need me anymore, so you get more independent, so that later on, you kind of you can make decisions and feel real confident on your instinct. Because what happens later when people don't base decisions based on fact and they base it on fiction is that later on they can't even trust their instincts. And man, I think your instincts have been phenomenal up to this point, and so I would hate for you to lose that instinct. Let me give you an example of an instinct, a basic instinct that you have, solid, but don't believe that it can go away. This actually goes away. People have the basic instinct to look both ways on a street. They just do. It's crazy, because you whatever happened when you were a little kid, whether it was fear, like don't cross the street, they hold your hand or whatever, you kind of learned real quick, oh God, I got to look both ways. There's going to come a time, though, and it's really awkward, because I know it happened to me, that I was getting high and so much that I started walking across the street saying, they're going to stop. They're just going to stop. I really believed that car was going to start. Or I'd walk so close to the car when it was passing that I would touch it just to let them know how cool I was, that I can walk that close to your car. My God, if I would have even understood that that's kind of an example of me kind of like taking it to the next level of allowing chance to dictate my future rather than my own decisions. Yeah. But I didn't make that connection that it was that. Mm-hmm. I didn't make that connection that was that. And if I was caught doing that, I was just told how stupid that was. So that wasn't a learning. That was a learning, like Trinity says all the time, that was a teachable moment. Well, that teachable moment's lost when you yell at a kid. But when you explain, here's the situation, what just happened.
Yeah.
Here's what that looks like. Then all of a sudden, we're in dialogue, we're in conversation, we're in communication. And you know what? I know that you understand me at that moment. Mm-hmm. And more importantly than anything, if you want to help somebody make better decisions, they have to first know that you understand where they're at.
Yeah.
And not in a shameful or disrespectful way, but truly understand where they're at.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to rewind just for a second, there was something that he said earlier that kind of stuck with me, actually.
Right on.
Because it's foreign to me, but I realized that it's something I have to think of now. And you were saying basically that you were worried about measuring up, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like I passed my dad like 3 days old, right? Like my dad wasn't that hard to pass. But, so
a little bar.
Yeah, I was never worried about not measuring up. Like it was.
Yeah.
I could accidentally be better than he was.
Wow.
So I never had that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
Like I had the exact opposite. Actually, I could just do whatever I wanted, essentially. But it makes me think though, like I'm not my dad.
Yeah.
And so I have kids now. Like I have a son sitting right behind me that I never really even thought about that until you said it. So now I'm gonna have to be aware of that.
Yeah,
growing up.
And just like a little, even
that's
more.
a great
of
lesson.
More of a preface. I'm the third, so the first and the second were both are the first was, and my dad is a very successful doctor, so it wasn't just him. It was
Right.
like what came before him too.
Right. Yeah, me too.
And-
you know what? Now that you said that, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, Robbie, I mean, I've never even thought about that. As many things that I've had to think about, you know. And you know, my dad's a very kind, gentle guy, but very strong as well. That balance that he has.
Yeah, your dad's great.
I mean, I've always admired him and always thought, man, I can never live up to that dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just accepted it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we were kind of joking. It's weird that we're talking about this because we were joking around in bed. You know, the kids and us all joking around yesterday, and me joking around saying, I think I'm a lot more like my dad than I know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a lot more like my dad than I know. You know, because you know, there's a balance there, and there's a genuine love for wanting to be kind and gentle to this family. Whereas I never thought I was going to be that kind of father. I thought I was going to be an iron fist father. I never thought I was going to be a kind, gentle father. Yet we'll have that conversation. Now my dad's much better at just looking at you and you just having emotion.
Conform.
Yeah. I don't have that power.
Right.
My dad has that look power.
Yeah, that's good.
I
You know,
I have that power at my house.
I don't.
I'll look, especially this one behind me. I'll look at him. I'll just stop and look and be like, what?
I think it's girls,
What?
man. I have daughters. The girls, it doesn't work with the daughters the same with the guys.
They
They have that power. They look at me and I buy whatever they
Right.
want.
Yeah.
They have that power.
Hey, Max, here you go.
Well, I think, but it's funny though because I know that that concept essentially. I know as men, oftentimes one of our triggers as men is not being good enough.
Right.
You know, like a lot of times for women it's connection. A lot of times for men it's not being good enough.
Right.
And it's like a hot point for us, especially in relationships. You know, sometimes the way like a spouse will speak to us, they're not aware that it's triggering our feelings of not being good enough, and then we retort whatever. So I get that relationship because I deal with it all the time, talking to people. Yeah. But it never really occurred to me that I need to make sure I let my son know all the time that he's good enough. You know?
And we want those parents out there. I mean, I think Robbie just gave us gold. Gave us gold as parents. Just gave us gold of what he did, and that's why we do shows like this, so that people like Robbie can help us be better parents and be better friends and be better role models and all that stuff. And the reason we named it "Do the Damn Thing." Let's get right into that because we got about 10 minutes left of the show.
Yeah.
Now you did the damn thing, so let's fast forward completely to the point where are we at now, Robbie? What's the deal?
Yeah, so
you're a badass. That's what the deal is.
So a couple months ago, there's an extremely tedious process to apply to PA school, but that was submitted. I had an interview in Delaware last Thursday, and then yesterday on my birthday, I got the acceptance letter. So
all right, so back up. See, even that you went fast. PA. Not everybody knows what that is.
Yeah. So what's
a PA?
It's a medical provider that can prescribe medicine, and they work alongside a doctor under the care of a doctor. And they can be primary care providers, so you can go into a doctor's office, see the PA, they can diagnose you, get you your medicine, and you can be on your way.
So it's the PA stands for physician's assistant, but it's not
basically
really an
a doctor.
assistant.
It's basically a doctor.
Because when you go to the doctor's office these days, more often than not, you're seeing a PA.
So the PA profession actually came from the World War II era, and it was the entire medical curriculum just jam-packed into a crash course, so you could get out there and be a doctor.
I did not know that.
Wow.
Yep.
And how long is this education?
So 1967, they matriculated the first class into Duke University. So 50 years.
No. I'm sorry. I said the
How
wrong.
long is your schooling going to be?
Yeah, how long is the schooling for PA?
It's 2 years.
Just so people can feel confident that when they see their PA that they do have an education.
Yeah, so it's 1 year of didactic, which is just completely coursework, and then 1 year of basically what's the equivalent of a residency when you go to all these different specialties and you work as a PA and see what the other PAs
do have specialties, just like physicians.
Mm-hmm. And a good thing about being a PA is I could do addiction medicine because obviously that's what I know I want to do. I want to help people that have been in the same shoes as me, and then 5 years down the road I can say maybe I want to switch it up. I want to go into trauma surgery, and then. Yeah.
So you really want to get into addiction medicine?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll wait for you. When I start another treatment center, I'll wait for you. That you're going to be our PA.
It's only 2 years, brother.
That's right. Well, 3.
Yeah. So May of 2019 as well.
2 education and one residency.
Yeah. No, 1 year education, 1 year of classroom coursework, one year of residency. It's a 2-year program.
Wait. Let's back up. All right, let's take me all the way back to high school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I get into college.
You get into college.
4 years of what?
4 years of
sciences.
You're gonna have to take your organic chemistry, your biochem, your molecular, everything that you would need for med school. You take the GRE, and then after you have a bachelor's degree, you're eligible to start PA school.
You're kidding me.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
With a bachelor's degree, you go into PA school? You don't get a master's then be PA school?
You get a master's at PA school.
Oh, my God. You mean I can go back and be a PA?
Yeah. Yeah, you've had enough healthcare experience. You could probably do it.
Wow.
You just have to retake all those bios.
I don't want to do
and
it.
orgos.
Hell no. Hell no.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Are
now,
you
man.
crazy?
But yes,
But
you
I wish
could.
I would have known that,
There
like,
was-
you know.
There was people in their 50s at the interview. So.
Aw, dude, man, I wish I would have known that, man. I would have loved it just to have it. Just to have it.
Yeah.
Because I think they're awesome. I think PAs are awesome. And my daughter wants to be a PA. Dahlia wants to be a PA
Yeah.
for pediatric.
Oh, it's I think it's like the fastest growing profession in the medical
smart.
field right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
There's like a 37% increase in PAs between now and 2028.
Right.
So.
And that's what do you call it? What they call? Oh my God! Never mind. Something level. Because nurse practitioners are in that same level.
Yes.
Nurse practitioners are mid-level. They
Yeah.
call them mid-levels.
Yeah. It's
That's the
essentially
formal
it's
term.
the
Right
same
on.
thing as a nurse practitioner.
Right. Nurse practitioners are mid-level. PAs are mid-level. Is there any other? I only know of those two. Are there any other mid-levels?
CRNA.
What is that?
Nurse anesthetist.
Really?
excuse
Yeah.
me.
That actually would be a good one because anesthesia is a really cool job.
Yeah, CRNAs make like $200,000.
Yeah, that's a
year.
great job. You come in, you put people, you knock them out.
Yeah.
Basically, so dude, I got this thing. Can you look at it real quick?
You're gonna be.
You're gonna be getting that all the time, though, bro.
I know.
When
I'm
I get
excited.
as a trainer in the physical world, every time,
Right.
man, I'd be at line at like Publix,
Right.
and somebody would be like, "Oh, really? I've been trying to work out,"
Yeah.
and then they would show me like their wounds. They would show me. I'm like, I'm not a doctor, bro. Like,
I love that.
I got people all the time. So
They don't do that to me.
no, but I guarantee you get. Oh, I had a brother.
Oh
that
no, they
was-
give me all the family problems.
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
no, as a counselor, you get all the family problems,
Yep.
but you don't get to look at this.
Yeah.
Like I'm not checking anyone for a hernia.
Yeah.
You know, I told you I had my chiropractor friend check me for a hernia. How much pain I must have been in.
I think a chiropractor can do that though, because they
Yeah,
receive.
but not your friend, man. Because you know, what I mean, how do I look at him straight after, where he's been?
Yeah.
That's like asking Trinity. Can you?
No.
Do you mind?
No. The answer is no.
I mean, you're
Unless you let me stream it.
you're a
pinky
fitness
finger,
you're a
please.
fitness instructor. Come on, Trinity. Can you just poke right here? Just ask me to cough.
Yeah. No, but I used to get that all the time because they think I'm like a doctor or something.
That's awesome.
They would always ask me about their aches and pains and like
That's funny.
bruises and bones and ligaments and stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm not a
Yeah.
rehab guy. I'm
Yeah.
a therapist. Like I know some of it obviously because I had to go through some of that.
Yeah,
to
you know the
get
body
there.
mechanics and you
Yeah.
know what's connected to what.
So I can give them a basic educated
Right.
guess, but
Right.
I always preface it by saying I'm not qualified to diagnose you, man.
Yeah.
Like you need to go see somebody.
right.
But I used to always get that. But now that we're in the addiction world, I always get like, oh my brother was dealing
Right,
with this.
right,
but
right.
I was like, oh, okay, like,
right.
sorry.
Yeah, man. Listen, man, Robbie, I'm so very proud of you.
Yeah, man. that
I
was
think
awesome.
both of us are. Both of us are very proud
Such
of
a
you.
cool text yesterday to get, man.
Yeah.
But yesterday
Yeah, it
was
really
a good
was.
day.
Yeah,
Yesterday
we
was a good
we
day.
were in a meeting with Fred Stokes yesterday when you texted us that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we were having a really good meeting about some things. And for those that don't know, Fred Stokes, he's a good friend of the foundation that I'm at, is More Foundation, and he's a Super Bowl champion, 10 years in the NFL, Washington Redskins.
He had one of my more popular shows too on mine.
He does, yeah.
We
He
did a
was
show on
on
race.
Dharma Time. He
And,
was on
and a
Dharma
lot
Time.
of people really like that show.
Yeah, you could find that on YouTube. Look up the Dharma Guy. What
Dharma
is-
Time on YouTube.
Dharma Time on YouTube. Just
Or
the
iTunes
/
stuff,
Dharma
yeah.
Time, right?
Yeah.
And then on iTunes or Google Play or any of those outlets, you can find it. And Fred Stokes was a great interview. He's much more of a man than a football player. You know what I mean?
What's funny is
And-
my mom asked me that on the
Yeah.
way here. Like we were talking, and she was asking me about him and some of the stuff that we were maybe trying to do with him in the future.
Right.
And I said to her, I was like, to be honest with you, his draw isn't, I don't want to sound mean or disrespectful here. His draw is not the Super Bowl. Like he doesn't
No.
have a name like Tom Brady or
No.
Joe Montana and stuff. You can't say his name in any circle and everybody, oh my
Right.
gosh. He's not that guy.
Right.
And that's not his draw. His
Yeah.
his draw maybe for some people might be the Super Bowl ring and
Yeah.
stuff for people who are into that.
Yeah.
But his real draw is just who he is as a person.
As a man.
Yeah.
When you talk
That's
to him and
awesome.
get to know him, he's just such a cool dude, man.
Yeah.
He's just got a good vibe about him.
Right.
So I'm very, very excited to be
Right.
friends with him.
And when you do the damn thing, and you start really being who you can be, genuine, honest, loving to others, helpful to others, you just naturally succeed. Like Trinity said it yesterday when we were talking to somebody on another business call, and he says, "The tide rises all boats." What is that?
The reason tide rises all boats.
Yeah, and that's a real thing. That's really true. And so when we're talking to Robbie like helps raise our boat right now. He comes in as an intern. We know that he's smart. I mean, he's one of the smartest young men that I've ever ran into, and just such an overall nice person. Just like he has this like vibe about him. It's just like super cool and nice. You really do, man. You just
Unless
got
you're
this
a
vibe.
fish.
Right.
If you're a fish, you better run from him.
I always put him back.
Yeah. If you're a fish, go, man, because he's a fisherman. Like,
he will catch you.
oh, that reminds me. I got something for you. Don't leave without me getting you. I got something for you. Okay. But the point is that he did the damn thing. He's now in PA school. Well, he got approved to go to PA school. You start when, Robbie?
May 2019.
So May 2019. In 1 year from that, you would have graduated that 2 years.
I'll be in the program 1 year from now. So
this is incredible.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
In just a short period of time. And people older like me, that's like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? That's like tomorrow.
2 years is no time.
You know what I mean? It's like, he's going to be saying, hey, guys, here's your invitation for my graduating. And be like,
yeah.
Already?
No,
crazy.
but seriously, I was a kid who withdrew from college in a small college in Alabama after 3 years. A baseball player who didn't get to play. I was abusing everything I could possibly abuse under the sun, and then I went to treatment. And I mean, my entire life changed, and I realized that there was something on the other side of all this fear.
Recovery works.
And Dave Fikes from Up Live just congratulated you as well, man.
Appreciate it, Dave.
Getting into PA school, so that's
awesome,
really cool.
man.
All right, so let's close it up, Trinity. Thank our sponsors, man.
Yeah, you know who else is doing a damn thing?
We got 1 minute.
You know who else is doing a damn thing?
Oh.
Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers.
Damn straight.
And Journey
Sir.
Pure. Both of our sponsors there. And,
right.
of course, can't forget Orange County with Carol Burkett and the Drug Free Coalition. And then, of course, the Now Matters More Foundation. We help people get into treatment as well as vet facilities. You can check us out at nowmattersmore.org if you'd like to donate or read about us. Or if you just want to call and get some help or some assistance, it's 833-NOW-MATTERS.
Right.
833-NOW-MATTERS. Make sure you give that a call, and we'll help you out.
All right, love it. All right, so from all of us here on the Couch Live, adios, amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.
And that was without even a single drop of rum.
That was awesome.
He really grows on you, doesn't he?